Great.
What are some topics that have been fascinating you of recent before we start?
Um, just different supposed disclosure efforts from here in the US and then also in Latin America with the alien dummies. But I feel like the alien dummies disclosure is much more real and genuine than the US stuff under, Greer, for example. Just because, the limited hangout stuff at the after David Grush gives an amazing presentation at the Pentagon
We're
press
going
conference.
live just so you know right now.
Oh,
Feel free to continue.
yeah. He just, they asked Dr. Greer what's his opinion, and he says, "My opinion is there are no bad ETs. We're the bad ETs, humanity." And I'm like, what the heck? You say, we were talking earlier about, sometimes people might be given different messages to deliver for whatever reason. That for me falls under that category, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know why. Well, I can speculate why they say that those type of things. It's a little disappointing. I doubt, like he said, his whole team died of cancer. So I'm a little, well, but then it's like maybe he didn't hasn't experienced super amount of targeting to the point where he could, or maybe the targeting is just like things he brushes away, like headaches and pain and illnesses and stuff that just manifest. But whatever. But yeah, it's a little disappointing. Okay. So, hello everybody out there. Hope you can hear us in this stream. Feel free to message us in the chat. So your questions. We got a very special guest here today, Bao Tseng, the Solar Bee, and he is holding a amazing 2024 Full Disclosure Now conference in Florida at St. Pete's Beach. And their lineup is huge, big superstars. It's great. It's going to be amazing. It's going to change the whole timeline. So can you tell us a little about yourself, Brian? You're on mute. Okay.
Yeah, my pleasure, Sean, and thank you for having me here tonight. Um, And then also, if there's a link for me to share out, I'm happy to do so because I know there's some people on Facebook who said they wanted to join our live stream here. And then that gives us more questions and stuff, fodder, if you will. But as for me, I am relatively new to the secret space program, Montauk survivor, time traveler community, if you will, of all our fellow light workers and star seeds, at least in the active sense. There's only a little bit over a year ago that I was at the ninth contact in the desert. It was my first time there and in Southern California. And my mind was really blown away by meeting a lot of the ET contactees and the experiencers and the whistleblowers and realizing that, okay, these people are genuine. And I already knew that. I give people the benefit of the doubt until they prove otherwise. And if there's something in their testimony that I find questionable, I still listen to their testimony. I just kind of might give them a personal, a lower value rating in terms of like the value, the quality of their testimony
Oh, oh, there you go. Okay, you're
because
back.
yep, because I have
Okay.
my doubts. Um, did any of my what I was saying freeze or just my screen?
Just for like 3 seconds, and then it sped up really quick, and then so it's fine. Good. We got
Oh,
some
okay.
interference.
Okay, we caught back up some
Okay,
technical
good.
difficulties. So, off of Contact in the Desert last year, I co-organized the Montauk Adventure Tour last year. It was the 80th anniversary of the 1943 Philadelphia experiment, which is integrally linked to the Montauk Project, also known as the Phoenix Project. That was its military code name, apparently. And off of that, I've been as active as I can be. Actually, Sean, you were
We met
probably
there. Yeah.
yeah. We met
Oh
there,
no, we're in person. In
right?
person.
But I got to meet you on Facebook, and by friending you, that actually opened the door to so many of the people in our community that then allowed me to link up with them and do the organizing work. So excellent. Thank you for that. And you know, off of being contact in the desert again this year, Disclosure Fest or Ascension Works last year at Las Vegas. I was going to go to Disclosure Fest again this year with my wife and one business partner and Winnie the Wonder Dog, our one service dog. But unfortunately, they got perhaps energy weaponed out or something that fires or arsoned out just the week before they got burnt out, unfortunately, and that really sucks. So, we're throwing this conference. It's 80% disclosure, hard disclosure. I'm talking people who are testifying to 20 and backs, to being MK Ultra'd and SRA'd, apparently, in some cases, unfortunately. And basically, the 20% is ascension content. And as we go in the future, because this is going to be the first of many, it'll be instead of 80-20, perhaps it'll be 70-30 or 60-40. It'll be more heavily moving towards ascension as we get the disclosure part out of the way.
Hmm. Well said. So, can you tell us a little bit about like what woke you up to this world and like some of your experiences, and then we can like headway into the conference more into some of the things that and what inspired you to do this.
Okay. So, I think I'm a star seed, like so many of us here at this time who are, we've woken up. I think after the events of September 1/1, I and me realizing that three buildings don't go down at free fall due to two airplanes. That's just ridiculous. When I woke up to that and just realizing that we don't just live in the 3D matrix world, where like, we live, we go to, we pay our taxes, we go to school, we work, we retire, maybe we have a family, maybe not, we die, we're worm food, and that's kind of like the 3D matrix worldview. Understanding that there's a 4D and 5D and above, um, in terms of consciousness densities. So now we've got, ETs and interdimensional beings and Bigfoot and angels and demons and the good and the bad and the ugly.
Hmm. Okay, so all the different sentience that's equal, greater, or coming up in our speed that's also on this planet and other realms and planets. Okay. So have yeah, what inspired you to get to do this conference, and how was it setting it up?
Well, setting it up has been quite a roller coaster or water slide ride, if you will. Um, I'm basically, one of the things is when my team and I first said that we're going to go ahead and do this conference after some initial hiccups. I kind of had a top 10 wish list or dream team of presenters, if you will. And very quickly, within like a week, not even 2 weeks, five or six or seven of these people had signed on and said that they indeed wanted to be part of it. Um, Two of my big inspirations for this conference. One is I want it to be hard, full disclosure, not a no gatekeeping. We're not going to try to play it safe. No one's going to tell us that we've got too much woo. We're going to tell it like it is, right? And from a variety of perspectives that all reinforce each other, because as far as I can tell, all these perspectives reinforce each other because they're the truth. Okay, at the heart of it. The other aspect of it was, I know that there's at least one organizer of these events out there where in some cases, not only does he not pay his presenters to show up and be on his stages, which I can understand. Maybe if you're presenter number 35 and I've already maxed out my stages and I'm going to squeeze you in onto my stage, maybe I can comp you some stuff, right? But I hear this particular organizer has people pay him to be on his stage. And that just rankles me. It just rubs me the wrong way so badly that I've made it a point to throw this event in a way that I feel like, I'm doing my best to compensate everybody more than fairly, and then over and above that, use this conference as a vehicle to advance everybody as much as possible, not just the overall disclosure movement, but each and every one participating with us.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. Really appreciate that. And yeah, that's a better model and less greedy. And then I think that a lot can come back to you and support. And then how is getting so many people?
Um, Basically, there's a guy I met at Contact in the Desert, Ross Waxman, and he talks about hacking the algorithms. And basically, in the middle of all this, we had our URL banned on Facebook. Some faceless cowards or trolls or whoever reported us to Meta Facebook as being a spam website for some reason, even though it's easily discernible that we're a conference website selling conference passes and discounted hotel rooms, just like every other conference website out there that pays Meta Facebook, just like we have been, to advertise on there. And it took us about a week to get unbanned. That didn't help. This being our first conference that I'm throwing here.
Very shameful of Facebook, and they barely have anyone to complain to. It's such a shitty monopoly. But anyway, so
Well,
yeah.
we had the whole community, everyone supporting us, whether they knew us or not. A lot of people I know reported to Facebook and said, "Hey, this isn't right that you're blocking me for sharing this URL when you shouldn't be," and they unbanned us. The other thing is I'm realizing this is our first event. I'm going as large as possible because that's how events should be thrown. If I don't break even or lose money on this, so be it. The point is to advance the disclosure movement. So pennies on the dollar, this is nothing. And then this is to be the first of many. We expect to do this much bigger and larger. And next year, I think what I've been told is this year is going to be kind of like the first OG Cannabis Cup or second year, if you will. And then after that, like the third, fourth, and fifth years, it just got giant and exploded. And so I guess this would be considered the first and the original, awesome amazingness. Um, Another thing though, you were asking me about, overall the experience of organizing this conference. It's been hugely gratifying. The level of support, not only from the presenters and the vendors and the attendees themselves, and the people who, they can't make it in person. Maybe they'll be live streaming, maybe not. Maybe they're helping in other ways. They're promoting the event, they're referring their friends. That's been huge. And that level of grassroots support really is so much more valuable than, the data algorithms and the digital social media platform stuff that, we're kind of resorting to these days.
Mm. Yeah, thank you. And I remember the Facebook like banning my posts, and I was like, I just kept posting it. And yeah, that was wonderful. That it got stopped. That was crazy. I was like, whoa, what? Why are they blocking you? What is going on here? Um, so yeah, and I read there this will have a big effect on the world in the time, especially as depending on how many people come in the audience and the effect of all us in unity. So it'll be fun and interesting to see what effects this has for you as well in the future, and if you do future things. And so so the community has been treating you well?
Absolutely. Like, let me give you an example, Sean. Not only is there our very, very close-knit Facebook community, if you will, just online. I mean, it's like half the people I'm friends with, I've got like 20 plus mutual friends with them, and some as many as like 600 plus. Okay. And so that really to me shows a strong close-knit community. But also there's local groups there in Florida that do CE5 protocol meetings where they're doing meditations and reaching out telepathically or being on the beach and shining laser beams in the sky to call in friendly UFOs, friendly craft. And to communicate with them. That's what CE5 is, close encounters of the fifth kind. It's human initiated contact, hopefully of the friendly kind. And one of the meetup groups organized by Kate Rose down there, they're 400 strong. So they're a lot of their members are going to be participating and they've been publicizing. Drago Reed, he lives down there. We have a sister event, Day of Being in their fourth year. It's just a gathering free of charge of people gathering there at Indian Shores Beach, only about a 25-minute drive from the Serrata Beach Resort where we're holding our conference at St. Pete Beach. And so we're really getting a lot of the online community together with the local Florida groups who are
Mhm.
naturally attuned to this event, and then spreading the word as best we can, despite whatever banning, overt and shadow banning that we've been running into this whole time. And mind you, we only had really 7 months barely to get this event off the ground. So it's kind of like whatever we get, I'm happy. And, I just want as many people there as possible because to see amazing presenters like yourself in person.
Good work. Yeah, this will be amazing. And I think, yeah, the ET contactors, thank you for helping us bring that in. And from other events I've seen, peers of each person that comes to an event brings an entourage of a soul family that can be out, that usually follows them cloaked in like clouds and stuff as like a protection as part of their team for why they're here in incarnation. So that seeing them all like sync up above the hotel was interesting and do trade and commerce with each other. And then that allowed for peace arrangements. So I imagine that would be happening here. And we did that at Montauk with the laser pointer, and we did it in a hot tub at night, and we saw a bunch of green flashes go over the place in different directions. I was reading that were some type of positive Nordic race operating in the future that would come back and forward in time because, as you know, there's a lot of temporal anomalies on Montauk, Long Island, and time energy that can be harvested or used positively or negatively by different projects. And we'd love to get more of your knowledge and info on that. We can start with like certain experiences you've had that you're okay with talking about publicly, as well as things you've heard. We'll like bring up subjects. If you wanted to start with Montauk or
Well,
other.
actually, well, yeah, no, speaking of conferences and soul groups and families and ETs in the skies monitoring and then getting to interact with each other, um, through the coming together. Um, for example, at Rebels of Disclosure earlier this year, like a month and a half ago now, or she was back, yeah, back in May, with the Journey to Truth guys, Tyler Koala and Aaron Kuhn. During the presentations, people like Margie Kay and Kiera, they were seeing um, blue orbs kind of floating in the rafters of the main presentation hall where we were all in. Um, they could also see when Katie in the chorus, that's kind of what she goes by. Her name's Katie, and she's in telepathic or channeled transmission contact with a soul memory consciousness collective known as the Chorus. They're positive, they're benevolent, they like to share love and wisdom with us. And when Katie was doing her presentation and she was walking around the room with the mic, both Margie and Kira reported that they could see golden light streaming down from the ceiling down to Katie. And then at the very end of her presentation, when Katie was doing Q&A, and the person was asking a question of Katie and the chorus. That golden light would stream from the ceiling down to Katie and then merge, kind of break off from Katie and then flow over to whoever was asking the question and connect with them. And, they could see that. And so, um, you know, in terms of my own ability to see this stuff, I'm not very sensitive at all. Um, I think I have kind of in dreams, I've been kind of given messages, and I definitely have a sense of knowing uh, what kind of life path to follow, if you will. Full disclosure, movement being the top of that list right now. I do own a haunted property up north of me. I'm aiming to revamp the property. It's really an old school Wild West abandoned cowboy saloon slash brothel. It's abandoned now. We're not going to use it for that. We want to turn into a restaurant, hotel, healing center. But no, none of this happy ending stuff like that. From massages or brothel. But this location is very, very haunted, mind you. And I can't normally detect any of the ghosts or the spirits, if you will, although my roommates and some of my friends they can because they're psychically gifted or attuned in that way, like yourself. Um, but there's this one back area where we believe a psycho killer used to live. He was a nasty guy. He's the reason why there's a lot of ghosts on that property. And a lot of them are gone now. They passed on. We've helped them. Other people have assisted in that. But the one time I kind of stuck my head back in the back room apartment area where I found out later that's where he used to live. It's almost like I had this weird buzzing, headachy, nasty feeling in my face. And I do remember that. I also, and that was only like a couple years ago. And then about 20 something years ago, when I went with my parents to Atlantic City, New Jersey, to one of the casinos to see David Copperfield, the magician, perform, because I'm originally an East Coast guy from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York. I went to shake David Copperfield's hand, and as I was shaking his hand, his eyes literally turned jet black on me, like in one of these like demonic horror scary movies.
Yeah, I've seen him do that on videos. I think he likes doing that.
Really? Well, what I was told, and I think from a magical or occult perspective, it might be that as I was shaking his hand, he might have taken something from me, some energy or a blessing, who knows? And but then in trading that energy, I think that's why I was able to see his eyes go jet black with that in that contact I had. And so maybe he took something from me, but he also gave me a knowledge that I have not forgotten to this day.
Interesting. Yeah, there's that's an interesting doorway too. Have you heard of the concept of magic with a K hidden in magic with a C, where the performers pretend that it's just fake magic and they're using real magic, and there's different avenues. So there could be them going in the dark area where they're working with demons, jinn, or like, which can also be neutral, doesn't have to be, or spirit guides or assistants, or a version of them, or a bilocation, or it's their own ability and it's interesting past lives going on, or angels or something uh highly magical, and like a magical assistant. Usually the conjuration and then into working with a guide and the unseen is usually what I see in the avenue of magic with a C. But then I can go further in like telekinesis and um, hypnosis and mind control and some other interesting, depending on how deep they understand it or if they're just gaining the ability through deals. The morality can be very wild, or middle ground or whatever. If it's if a deal with a demon, then they might be less aware of initiating things, but then allow the entity to steal stuff. But most people I don't know barely understand vampiric abilities. Um, to where how to operate them. They just let something go loose, like in their shadow, and it steals things from people and accumulates because they can't earn their own abilities. But yeah, it's hard to tell with some of them because there's a lot of camouflage. What do you think? You're,
I would say definitely in the case of these so-called magician performers who are illusionists, who, I'd say in the vast majority, probably the deals that they're making would be on the darker side
mm,
because, it's about fame and fortune and money and Hollywood. And then it's not like, I was shaking his hand and his eyes went bright white on me and,
yeah.
everyone in the room was healed.
Yeah.
You know? Far from it. But having said that, there are a lot of people in the community who are able to heal with the laying of hands or psychic ability and doing astral projection and calling in guides and angelic forces or source God. I personally think is best. And keep it simple and powerful. And the a lot more of that's going to be emerging. So whereas in the past it was more, if you were to see that, it was the conjurers and illusionists and you're paying $150 a seat at a casino theater to do it, to go to see them. It's going to be more and more of our brothers and sisters, dreaming dreams and prophesying and healing and all the other what today are called miracles, but I think are going to be more and more commonplace as we go.
I agree. As a lot of these abilities are made by the light, but then they get corrupted and stolen by the dark. And demons and the evil didn't earn these abilities; they stole them from. A lot of it's from stolen soul parts from humanity, and that's why they value the soul so much. It's like people don't even know what is in them dormantly, and it's like a computer waiting to hack into and or he open up and power. And since people don't know it, they use that stupidity to like, oh yeah, sell your soul and you get all this power when they're really just giving them back their own power that the demon then unlocked but stole and then did all this dumb shit. To that's really bad. I don't recommend selling your soul at all. It's really stupid. I recommend if a demon comes at you or even tries to communicate with you, you retrieve parts of their soul back for them and like, hey, kindness and don't fuck with me, boundaries. And because they got their shit stolen too. It's like a big never-ending upward hierarchy of puppeting for the evil side. But whatever. And then yeah, enforce those boundaries, and then you gotta use either love and light tech to spark their goodness in them, or put up your boundaries of like, if they're really harming you, then do what you gotta do. Um, yeah, so there's that. So what kind of I know you've heard a lot of things though. So like what avenue are you very passionate about like ET's my lab, different types of psionic abilities? I definitely want to talk hear what you've heard on that and what you've heard throughout the community that you've been able to address and especially built on top of confirmations from multiple people and what you think is more valid and then building up.
A great question, Sean. Well, first of all, it's all spiritual. First, as above, so below, as within, so without. And the spiritual aspects, we're talking about, say, people who make, deals like to so-called quote unquote sell their soul. Evil in general is short-sighted and dumb. And it's exploitive and it's self-exploiting and it's worse than a zero-sum game. And so in terms of avenues that I'm interested in this community, I mean, it's everything from the Montauk Project and time travel, and the MK Ultra, the people, the scientists brought over from Germany after World War II for nefarious reasons, and the Illuminati cabal derp state and all of that, to the positive ETs, not just the negative, but I'm really interested in reaching out to the positive ETs and interdimensional and inner earth beings and getting humanity to the point where, um, you know, we don't have to have UFOs land on people's heads for them to realize that ETs are real, and you got the good and the bad and the ugly. Um, so you know, some of my own personal experiences have been on the paranormal, like we mentioned earlier. But a lot of my friends in this community are very much ET contactees, and I love speaking with you all about the contacts that you have and the information that you have and how it's all syncing up, even though I'm having these discussions one on one separately with everybody.
Okay, so what are some things you can tell, so we can just build off that. So yeah, like painting a picture with like the military and getting all this tech and time travel, UFOs, levitation, free energy device and all
Okay,
that.
well, here you go, Sean. This is great. All this technology that you're mentioning is a huge motivator for me, because it pisses me off that we're being fooled on, we're being shamed on climate change by people flying around in Lear jets with their containing their Bentleys, strapped to them, or, in their super yachts containing their mega yachts containing their mini yachts with the helicopter pad on top, telling us that we can't travel to Florida to organize for disclosure and to change the world because we're the bad people somehow. um, that technology becomes available to us with disclosure. Medical technology, given all the bio warfare we've been through these last 4 years, and that's as far as I'll get to not get spanked by the algorithms. Um, my father just passed away from a stroke and multiple blood clots from being perfectly healthy, leaving my mother of 50 years alone, right? Thank God I've got my one brother on the East Coast watching out for her, right? And I've gotten to speak with my father through a great medium, through Kiera, while at while at uh, Journey to Truth, Rebels of Disclosure earlier. And my father's message to me was pretty much what I thought it would be, but it's great to hear anyway. Um, and just in a nutshell, he's very proud of me, but for the work that I'm doing with everyone else here. But also, he didn't expect to be gone, like, so fast, like here one day and the next waking up babbling and incoherent, and then in a hospital and then gone a few days after that. But not only that, towards the end of his last days there, the things that I've been saying my whole life as the black sheep, or as I call us, the lion of the family, it was starting to make sense. But every time he got close and on top of the horrible conclusion that, hey, this is depopulation, the people running us are satanic and evil and do ritual abuse on little people. Every time he got close to that logical conclusion, he backed away in horror and fear, but he can see it better now on the other side. And it's okay, you know. So that's just some perspective there.
Sorry to hear about. And yeah, no, and he's a special person, and I'm glad you got to know him more and deeply. Yeah, I have a similar story with my dad passing in the recent years and it being very quick and too quick for me to even do anything about, which devastates me as a healer, which sucks. And then yeah, having tons of sadness and rage to transmute into healing abilities and the force necessary to bring the perpetrators to remedy, which I am working towards. So, uh, yeah, and I'd recommend everyone do that as well. If you feel angry and sad, transmute it into something of value. Your anger is the universe giving you power to overcome a threat or remedy a problem or solve or a challenge, or it's like threats to things you love. All these emotions Like hate is, you know, one of the polarities of love, but it is there to protect you or something you love. Um, it builds up because it doesn't, it's pressurized. It shoot it off like a cannon and combine it with love. It's not a bad thing. It's you getting shit done in the unseen, and you having faith in it. And it doesn't usually go to physical beings. So try not to like blame people in front of you, or you can get away from harming them. But there's a lot of horrible parasitic multidimensional apex predator energy harvesting systems that influence and mind control people to be evil, that do evil things, and then have systems such as depopulation, you know, whatever that manifests as. And then so as we release that and work out and do something you love that releases it all, then it goes to making the timeline better.
Well, this Sean,
Even smarter.
this is a huge reason why I've got you as a presenter on the main stage, is because one of the things that you're really great at teaching people in our community, or whoever comes to you in Psionic League, is this ability to alchemize and transmute the negativity into positivity, not just by having the correct perspective, but by psychically and in a quantum entanglement sort of way, visualizing these actual things and taking control and channeling the energy as it should be, and that is something that, in terms of these wrongdoers, it's like, yeah, I don't have to do anything in the physical, to bring them to justice necessarily. All I have to do is use the sharpest, most powerful, weapon in the universe. That's the sword of truth, the word of God. That's what the disclosure movement is about. It's like when, Colonel Michael Aquino, let's say, let's say he wasn't dead, supposedly, right? Let's say he was still alive, roaming around.
Or
You
cruxed
know,
out.
yeah, or with Horcrux, yeah, and clones and chip heads and whatever backups.
You
Um,
should not be named coming around.
yeah. Instead of me, kind of like putting on my bandolier and arm gunning up or whatever, and my ninja suit and trying to track him down, all I got to do is put out a call for all the people who've been victimized by this person, together with the deep state military off the books apparatus to victimize some of these people from being children, to name the names of where these bases are and who the other perpetrators are and who the other victims are, many of whom unfortunately are not with us today. That that's I don't even need to lift a finger. All I have to do is open my mouth.
That's the army, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's right.
like
So,
call to
yeah,
action with the charisma. Yeah.
yeah.
Be the leader that like shows the way and the pathways, and then spark more leaders. Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, and with people, yeah, exactly. You have to you can work with God or whatever people work with. I would recommend going within their connection to the heart, connection to there's your source of consciousness, or whatever you want to call it. And uniting with that, and it's like you're empowering your source, your higher self, your soul with faith, love, and gratitude as a fuel that amplifies their ability to do work in the unseen, to get shit done as you term the heaviness in the heart, the negativity that has a name of a type of energy on it that accumulates in the lower self. So that higher self unites with the lower self, which contains that negative frequency. As you give it love, and it goes off in the direction as a motion, energy in motion in the circuit that it should be in unity with the universe once you understand it, to go and resolve that thing in an empowered way with that love, and then think miracles happen. So in the
Well,
same
let's
thing,
give an example. Let's give an example of this, Sean. Because like what you're talking about, boy, there's so much of that in this community and in general today. When you've got that hurt trauma energy and it's not flowing in you and it's literally bottled up, right? The language we use in every day totally encapsulates it perfectly, right? It's bottled up and it can make you sick. It can literally give you cancer or the flu or make your hair fall out or an ulcer. But once you understand it for what it is and kind of deal with it spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, and resolve it and put it in the proper perspective and send love to all parties involved and have healing and forgiveness or forgiveness and healing. Then it's like I think a lot of people in our audience who are going to end up listening to this someday or now, hopefully, um, they recall when they had an argument or some horrible fight or long standing contradiction with a loved one, and they finally work it out and come to the not just a logical but really a loving and principled conclusion for all involved, that even if they hadn't called that other person, things just seem to work out. I'm not going to say magically, but energetically, if you will. And I'm sure, you're quite familiar with that phenomenon.
Oh yeah, like I also noticed in the community with like the this Earth game is very interesting and like its rules and methods and the players and all that. And it's like, what is winning? When you like ask that question deeply, okay, like all the timelines that exist, what is winning in your individual life and external? Like a lot of winning is love, unity, the friendships that you make, the experiences, the support, the love connection, the positive emotions, everything working out, the universe uniting with you, and it all flowing greatly, and nothing holding you back, and synchronicities and growth and understanding and knowing thyself in the universe. So a lot of that happens with like connectivity in understanding and everything that comes in your reality, figuring out the best way to interact with it in perfect place and harmony, like a musical orchestra. That's also part in unity. So unity is one of the biggest ways we resolve this planet. If we all come together, we can overcome anything. There's a bunch of forces that limit people from coming to unity, and it overwhelms them with anger and grudges and ego and thinking, oh, I'm right and they're wrong and they're an evil handler and they're some like and a lot of the time there are evil people. So it's good to have boundaries.
Well,
Sometimes
Sean,
the story of the evil of how they came into existence needs to be resolved too. But then I've seen these demons that come in and attach to everyone, and they flare up be these big emotions in the event of people. And it's getting to the point where I've realized that like it makes them both believe they're in the right, and it's like some weird paradoxical perspective illusion that like, oh, you said that, and yeah, and like, and if they talked it out, they would be like, what? I didn't say that. You what? And then they'd start like, what's going on here? And it's like some literal thing trying to keep it happening. And like, imagine if all these people came to unity and they would be able to push disclosure despite anything the system wants to happen. So I've noticed it all falls apart as all these dramas form. It's interesting.
well, let me speak to that because there's a dialectical process to this. We don't automatically go from a state of disunity and then like throwing a bunch of forks and
Yeah.
knives and spoons all together at a drawer, expecting it all to go perfectly into that drawer. It don't, oh, make disunity to unity, presto changeo. It don't happen like that. There's a dialectical process, and this is where that struggle comes about. And I'm okay with struggle as long as it's principled, lawful struggle, because that is what it's gonna take. Because as you point out, unfortunately, we're not dealing with flesh and blood here necessarily. We're dealing with flesh and blood being ruled over by, in some cases, darker demonic forces. And when you're dealing with that, there is a certain level of struggle, spiritual warfare that is necessitated because those people, even if they are in our community on our side, if they have these darker elements, call it interior or exterior. It doesn't have to be a demon sitting on their shoulder. Maybe they just, in their own practice, in free will, they're acting in an unprincipled manner. And, maybe they're
All
greedy. Maybe
code needed.
whatever. Yeah, they're short-sighted, in whatever way. Um, that has to be dealt with. Now, to
I
to the
agree.
person being dealt with, they can say, you're bullying me, you're not being love and light, you're judging me, you're being violent with your words, and you're isolating me or you're gaslighting me or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like we have to have these conversations, and the way that I keep it from getting that whole like my demon versus your demon, my ego versus your ego, is I was trained as an organizer for over 8 years to take the principles and ethics and what we care about at stake. You put
Mm.
that up at front, and then you say, okay, how does your actions, not you as a bad, evil person, or with a demon, but how are the actions that you as a good person, unfortunately, what actions are you taking that are not in line, with blah, blah, blah. It's like the older I get, the better I get at this nonviolent communication stuff, because normally I'll just come right at you.
That's well said. Yeah, and evil is mostly action, like in the continuance and the accumulation of drama, karma, and like the harm you've done to other people, and then the holding on to that, and like grudges, like the Buddha says, grudges is holding on to a hot coal, expecting it to burn another person. And yeah, there are infiltrators. There's dark people that are false light that try to like mess with the whole soup. It's kind of like when I look at I deal with realms. So like when I interview realms like heaven realms or hellish realms or in between, the heavenly realms have to have a big security system. They're VIP clubs. They do not allow everyone in, and there's a lot of things that try to infiltrate them. So they have to have a long history of security systems and interviewing evil to get to see if it's like anything that's coming up to it as light, to see if it has a core that's being surrounded with all this stolen light to shield itself to make it look like it's better than it really is. So how's that been for you?
Um, I mean, geez, and that's a scary thought, is like the type of evil that it's powerful enough or tricky enough that it can cloak itself and try to infiltrate into the higher heavenly realms.
Yeah,
Just
they've been, some have gotten fucked up. And then when that happens, it's really bad for the universe because they steal a bunch of abilities from there that are overpowered. Ugh.
so, down here at this level, it's really been like an organizer struggle. There's no movement ever historically where everyone was like just, on the same side, working together and getting along, and everything was optimal, and presto changeo. Not far from it. What it is um there are people who, like, and I will say myself, I strive to maintain a principled practice, and also put what the call that I'm putting out to the masses is always the best for the movement, and the needs of the movement at that particular time and place. And by doing that, in the times when I butt heads with people where, it seems like um, they were prioritizing their own fame or clicks for their website or YouTube channel or podcast over the needs of the movement. They were prioritizing their own ego and greed over the good faith partnerships with myself and others. You know, what happens is at first, when push comes to shove, a lot of people in the community at first they say, why can't we all get along? A pox on both your houses. F this, flip over the table. I'm going to retreat and withdraw and cry over in my corner over here. But what's happening is even though that's kind of an initial gut reaction in our community, which has undergone so much trauma already, so it's understandable. What happens is as people stay on and they watch and they observe and they take the time and the energy to figure out what's really going on, and they say, wow, Brian here is trying to organize an event and compensate people fairly and stay true to his word and not replace important people that people care about with a water slide because they think it would be more fun for their event, true story. um, people realize, well, wait a second, there are two sides to this. It's not we're all just one big happy family. And if I given a choice, I want to go with that guy, who wants to honor his word and, treat the presenters and vendors and attendees with great value and, you know, um, be a person of his word versus someone who will, you know, say one thing one day and then do something different the next. And people are starting to see that that choice is there to be made and has to be made ultimately.
Okay. And for the inspiration of this conference, in full disclosure, what type of things would you like to see disclosed to the public?
So the reason why, and that's an amazing question, Sean. Wish I got asked it more often. Um, the reason why and I believe others call it the full disclosure movement or full disclosure now movement, full disclosure yesterday movement. Um, the disclosure part is the fun part. That's the Star Trek, Star Wars, Buck Rogers, laser beams, and ETs, mostly friendly ETs part of it. The full part is the nasty ETs and the demonic entities and the human puppets who literally are throwing the rest of humanity under the bus while signing these evil deals and doing horrible rituals involving little people in many cases. That's the full part. And that's really, you're not going to see that anywhere else out there. You're going to see the I'm Chinese American, the Chinese water torture drip, drip, drip of maybe these are craft, maybe they're piloted by, and then 5 years later, non-human intelligences. Then 5 years later, maybe we know who some of those non-human intelligences are. And 5 years later, you get the picture. That's like 25 years down the road, you know. Um, we're not like that. So that's a huge impetus is doing it the way that it needs to be done, telling it like it is, not pulling any punches, naming names, not worrying about how badly we're going to get banned or shadow banned or targeted. Like we already are. The main thing is to like I say, be loud and be proud, but get our testimonies out there coherently and cogently as one, and then off of our testimonies, demand justice and repatriation, reconciliation, healing, and then moving forward together into our Star Trek future.
Hmm.
And that's not going to happen without disclosure. So that's why I got such a fire lit under me for this. And medbed technology for all my loved ones who drank from the bioweapon cocktail, if you will, sooner rather than later is my motto.
Yeah, there needs to be a remedy of a lot of the gatekeepers and need to be inspiring of new enforcement that can counter evil forces of enforcement. And then building instructions of new creations like a parallel economy, parallel legal system, parallel Hollywood, parallel enforcement agencies, detectives, and their own parallel community prison systems. And that with all that structure built, and their ability to pay employees, they can out-create anything that the system sends at them. And man, it'd be exposed. Okay. So yeah, I agree. So, and with more awareness and I think with psionics, there seems to be caps of intelligence put on us in the dumbing and down of our species, as well as mind control to orient people and draining of energy so they don't have the effort to do things, and the draining of care so they don't care about it, as well as the draining of righteous anger so they don't feel like creating revolutions. So I feel all these problems can be resolved with psionics and resolving these apex predators doing these things. Uh, a good question to head into that. How are some interesting stories you've heard through listening to the various people and witnessing things about psionics that you've heard about?
Hmm. Um, and it's not just psionics. I mean, getting to speak with Jessica Jones, a cryptid huntress, um, who's going to be presenting on our main stage, or Alabar Jones. Speaking of our Jones friends, Alabar Jones down in Australia. I really want to introduce the two of you because he is assembling or has assembled people who do astral projection, 10 years or more experience. So he considers them hardcore veterans. And they will do things like in the astral, go to deep underground military bases to help bring the light spiritually, and undo the darkness. Or they'll even go to demonic realms to take on demonic entities and to undo their apparatus that is affecting us here on Earth. Because as above, so below. Basically, everything that's happening in these spiritual realms trickles down and affects us here at the physical. So the work that Alabar and his friends are doing, and his he does he has a YouTube channel, and so he goes in depth into this and he interviews a lot of these entities. But then getting to speak with him one on one, it's been absolutely amazing because I remember growing up watching the X-Files and wishing, oh my gosh, is this stuff true? Is this stuff real? And then now I'm in a community where I can message people like yourself, and I can get a psychic reading, a psychic healing for myself or another person, literally at my fingertips because of the interwebs. And so it's been hugely gratifying and life-changing, and it shows how much the paradigms are shifting. Like forget Hollywood, interviews like this is gold. This is way better than any of the crap that Hollywood puts out. And this is free. You can't beat that, right?
Yeah, and agenda driven for the message of what the elite want to program people with. And yeah, I think Hollywood's dying. It's pretty interesting to see. And they're not going to change. So if anyone's like, oh yeah, let's have our movies back, they're trying to destroy your favorite characters and um, different plot lines that suck with list boxes of agenda to lower the population or whatever. Um, yeah, there. So I think parallel um, media is going to get bigger and bigger as people understand the power within them to create their own media systems, and then how to connect and unify and link with others. And as people get out of and become immune to these types of mind control, and as people heal the collective consciousness to be able to just do that naturally as their own, as the slip away of the grasp of the parasitic nature of these vampiric systems get remedied, which is happening more and more. Nice. What have you heard of any interesting abilities, or do you have some idea of things that can be disclosed in your vision of the future of our greater tomorrow after disclosure than you see people will be doing, having to do with psionics or psychic abilities or a greater unfoldment of consciousness?
Yes, absolutely. So at this conference, we're going to have people who do remote viewing and psychic surgery and astral projection, and speaking to the guides and telepathy communication with ETs and other beings, mostly higher beings. And I'd like to actually see if we can combine um, all of us, who were not myself, but anyone has any of these abilities that are more apparent and blatantly manifesting to say take on a hard case. I mean, maybe there's someone in the audience who they've got a lot of issues and they feel like they're really hard under attack, and maybe what would it be like if we had like five of us at the same time with different modalities, or maybe get Jessica and Yeme Janae both as remote viewers with Danyan Brinkley, another remote viewer, trying to remote view the person's problem while a psychic surgery healer, attacks it from their expertise, while maybe you're there, talking to guides and getting statistics and pulling down the data of what is ailing this person. And then having all these different people with the different psionic modalities working together. I think something new is going to come out of that, just like, something new comes out of getting a band together, and or in this case, an orchestra, even. And how many
Yeah, like
chances do we
psychic
get?
healing performed bands of like world shifting events. I do find for more motivation for people to start doing things like that. If there's hard cases, there's reasons for that. There's a lot of energy and power behind the maintenance and structure and creation of that anchor of an illness or discord or negative effect in a person's reality, which takes a lot of effort. And there's something that is doing that effort, usually in consciousness. So it's usually some big, powerful being. So if that all through the trap of that person is allowed to be healed, an entire dark network could be taken down, and that make everyone's lives on the planet better and shift things so that more positive events happen and less negative votes on the timeline are still attached to this timeline, and as they release, it shifts to a better. I agree. Can
And then
you go ahead?
I had a question for you though,
Sure.
because one of the things is in my own self-interest and motivation, I'd love to get a bunch of you, like five or six or seven of you at the same time, to scan, does Brian have a blockage over his third eye, and if so, why? Right? Should it be removed? That's the first question. Then before removing it is, should it be removed? Maybe it's there for a reason, but assuming it's there, but for nefarious purposes and it should be removed, I'm going to ask y'all for your help to remove it. And then, no, what were you going to say?
To answer your question fully, whenever you're wanting to amplify psychic abilities, you want to work up from the root toward survival, protection, offense, camouflage, being able to prevent abilities from being stolen, being able to gain control over different emotions and generation throughout the body and external, and be able to redirect things so that you can stabilize and not have things externally affect you, build up your power and have it protected so you can power more of the systems throughout your being so that it can run off of the soul's radar of technology, and then build towards where you don't have to know all these things, and you amplify enough power to have amplified faith towards it, and then going in the heart center, which goes towards love and amplified faith, and transcending a lot of the what people like to call the third and fourth dimensional concepts, and
Right.
then going up to communication and interaction, unity, expressions, and the power of the voice manifestation, command, and authority, and having complete control over that, and then the link between the brain and the heart brain, and then going into the third eye in perception,
Right.
needs all those things running,
Yeah.
especially with the motion and the capability and the abilities to overcome whatever you see, because it won't see you as a threat until you can see it. If you start to see into other realms, dimensions,
Yeah.
perceptions past the veil, things start to notice that you can see them, and then they take you more seriously. Otherwise, if they're feeding off you, they don't want to make you really hyper aware that things are messing with you or stealing from you or feeding off you. They want you to just believe it's just humdrum 3D illnesses and it just happens. Life, it is what it is, bullshit circular argument for like how things exist. Um, when you start seeing them more and how things work, then there's usually problems. And when you see that problem, the problem sometimes has sentience and then doesn't want you to solve it. And then it might overwhelm the fuck out of you with fear. And unless you have very good, strong control over fear and can transmute it, get it off you, release it, overcome it, then it will annihilate you. Or sad, if they have control over sadness, they'll get you to kill yourself. Or if you're angry, you may turn you into a psychopath. Um, there's all kinds of things. And then, when people have that ability turned on, a lot of them end up in mental institutions because they don't understand if it's real, what it is, why they're seeing these things. These are shamans waiting to be balanced in their ability and then become caretakers to have an effect over what they see. Um, so if you learn the abilities and you overcome fear and master emotions, then you're absolutely ready to turn on those abilities to see. It's a challenge. It needs you to overcome it. It's like people that take a psychedelic trip and they have a bad trip. If you just have the bad trip the entire time and just wait, oh God, thank God it's over, then you didn't overcome that test. You didn't face the dark dragon. You didn't win as the white knight and then gain the treasure chest behind it, which then takes you into a whole new level of empowerment and love and awareness. But that's those tests. So you can build up to that or whatever you feel like. If you feel brave enough to like reach deep inside you and grab out that power during a time of struggle and learn a lot of things really quickly, if you're okay with that, then yeah, sure, go try to turn it on. But yeah, that's what I suggest, preparing and learning a bunch of abilities. And I can help you with that for sure. I can help anyone that wants to do that. I'm very good at shifting the nightmare into the daydream and then
Absolutely.
capable
Well,
of seeing more.
and I know that after you give your presentation, if you leave out a clipboard, you're gonna fill up like immediately for the rest of your time there. Just make sure that you leave yourself time to, enjoy the beach and the
Yeah.
turquoise waters. And I'm gonna bring a skim board, so that should be a lot of fun. Hopefully, we don't hurt
Yeah,
ourselves.
we're gonna have a lot of fun there. Uh, I don't know what's gonna be happening, but I'm excited for the mystery. I'll be also having a booth there. We'll be able to read people's soul history, their ET contacts, and soul family, and their DNA, and help healing clearing for anyone that's targeted. Give them abilities and skills. My girlfriend's also going to be there doing a bunch of powerful abilities to help people and amplifying abundance. We got some products that can amplify abundance, so I was like, look forward to that. Um, so I hope you guys can see us there. So what else will you be doing? And if people want to talk to you, and can you name a bit of the lineup of people that will be there? And if you know anything about like what they'll be presenting,
I'd
feel
love
free.
to. Yeah, yeah, I'd love to. And then let me share my screen. For
Absolutely. One
anyone.
second.
Yeah, and
Okay, go ahead.
okay, sharing desktop share. Okay, so for example, we've got Yeme Genet of the Farsight Institute. So these are some of the premier remote viewers in the world under Dr. Courtney Brown. He's been at this for decades now. And Yeme and her team have done blind scientific remote viewing of Tony Rodriguez and his book, Series Colony Cavalier. And so it's going to be really great having both of them on a panel together during one of our special event dinners. Penny Bradley has been in a lot of these secret space programs, particularly Nachtwaffen or Dark Fleet, as it's known in English. This is like kind of like a German breakaway space fleet that goes back to the Operation High Jump days, and the Tool Society and the Vril and Maria Orsic, when they were getting ET technology telepathically channeled to them via Maria Orsic. Um, got Carrie Cassidy and Miles Johnston. They've both been on the scene 20 plus years reporting on these secret space program and super soldier projects that are, these are all off the book secret access programs or special access programs. That's our taxpayer money. Laura Eisenhower, great granddaughter of President Dwight Eisenhower, she herself has been. They tried to recruit her to some of these programs. She said no to a lot of them, although they might have abducted her for some anyway. She wants to clear the record for her great grandfather. A lot of the treaties or agreements with these ETs that were not good for humanity, such as the 1954 Greada Treaty, that was looks like it was signed a lot behind Ike's back. I got Johnny Enoch. He was a protege of Jordan Maxwell. And he's, all these people are friends of mine. But Johnny, he's awesome. He is unveiling a lot of the mystic mystery school occult knowledge that really should be available to the masses and shouldn't be hoarded by the powers that be. Brooks Agnew, he's a world traveler, also kind of the Jordan Maxwell school, if you will, a very renowned author. Jessica Jones is a fellow remote viewer, just like Yamei Janae. And Dannion Brinkley, I got to get him a better picture here at size properly. But he can do remote viewing as well. He's had like four serious near-death experiences, and that's changed his life. Not only empowered him psionically, as a lot of people who've been through near-death experiences seem to become, but he's just a great all-around person and speaker. Daryl James, he was brought into some of these secret space programs by signing up with the U.S. Navy. So he wasn't brought in, abducted as a child like Penny Bradley was, or Arkeem Ra, and Alondra Markman and Drago Reed, and maybe Mario Maharez, Audrey Walters, Alyssa Zender, and Anthony Zender, and Nate Gray, and Carl Dory. All these people I just named have probably been abducted as children to be in these programs. Whereas Daryl James, he signed up into the U.S. Navy and then was kind of shanghaied or abducted into them, if you will. And then we got Shannon Leichner. She's on the angelic contact side, so she would be more on the angelic or ascension side of things, if you will. Julia Kamen, she is a positive ET contactee and probably has a lot of ET DNA, relatively speaking, to the general human population. But like I said earlier, most of us we're star seeds. We already have a lot of um, ET or ancestry or incarnational history from other times and places and planets and dimensions even. And so none of this surprises me anymore. I
Mhm.
could name everybody. I mean, just Barry Littleton and Susan Long and Rion de Rouen and Sherry Divband and oh look, Sean Bond. We know that guy. Misha Johnston, Christopher Jacobs and Joanna Michaels, Audrey Walters, Dana Louise, Tommy Edwards, Maya Rosal, Nate Gray, Emily Harrison, Amanda Jonah Hart, Donald Ledesma, Gustavo Medrano, Cheryl Arbogast, and Paul Esch. The two of them will be doing Tesla MedBed technology. Um, Zach and Sue Fisher are some of our special guests because they're the ones organizing this Day of Being gathering in its fourth year. We're expecting up to 1,000 people to be gathering that Saturday and Sunday, just prior to our Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of our conference. Rob Khalil of a Typical Skeptic podcast is going to be leading our live stream team, and we'll have a few other surprises in store. And then of course I'll be the MC and host. So even though I'll be doing like my own, one-off presentation, I'll be on stage with a mic plenty to make people tired of listening to me.
So, how did you get your nickname Solar Bee?
Ah, um, great question. So after college, I had a buddy, or maybe this is in college. It's right around then. I went to Occidental and I got a biochem degree. But he was saying something like, yo, B, like, let's go play hoops or let's go dancing, or he was saying something like, yo, what's up, B? What, how you doing, B? I was like, B, like, are you calling me a bitch? Like, why are you calling me B? He's like, no, dude, B for Brian. I'm like, oh, duh, Brian the Bee. Okay, so I kind of took on that moniker, Brian the Bee. And then I went to Burning Man for a number of years. So I was Playa Bee, because they have something out there called the Playa, the beach. It's the Playa. So I'm the bee of the Playa. And then I sold solar panels, and Tesla cars for Tesla, and solar for a number of companies. So I became Brian the Solar Bee. And I since found out that ETs, they tend to identify themselves to each other by naming the main star, the brightest, closest star that they're from, next to you know. And so I'm, Brian the Bee of Soul, or I'm the Solar Bee. So it worked out in so many ways that I just, it's got everything from the multiple meanings to the sci-fi aspects. I've kept with it.
Hmm, nice. Yeah, and, have you heard of those giant telepathic bees species?
I've heard of this. I've heard that they've got in like fourth density and higher density Venus, that they've got these giant psychic bees, and I can't wait to meet them, if the and whether they're from Venus or not, and whatever density they're at. That sounds pretty cool. So I have heard that, but I've yet to meet them, as far as I consciously, rather. Because I'm told that I like a lot of us are actually interacting with ETs, when we go into the astral, when we fall asleep. Time and space don't really exist. Anyone who's done plenty of LSD or psilocybin or DMT or meditation, can probably, should be able to tell you that.
Yeah, yeah, and the bees have it's like a positive vaccine for dreams and astral. So when they get stung, they can perceive more, especially if it's a positive upgrade that being given. And yeah, you have some cool connections with them. Uh, so can you talk a little bit about your businesses and how, because I remember you distributing some interesting products to me at some point.
Oh, well, that's now a hobby, because trying to get any banking done when with CBDs, whether it's a tincture or a balm or a spray, that can, even help knock out cancer and eczema and arthritis, and cut the healing time of wounds in half, all sorts of good stuff. That's more of a hobby. So we just help people the best we can by giving out a lot of this stuff, and then taking donations to offset. But a lot of people, we don't even get that, because the reason why they're using our products is because conventional medicine has already not only failed them to heal them, but in a lot of cases has already bankrupted them. So it's not like they got a lot of money to be giving us in the first place. And it's okay. Um, the RV park, where this abandoned cowboy saloon is, that's still kind of on the back burner right now, because there's an incoming mine that they're taking their sweet time on coming into the region. So what that's basically allowed me to do, and really encouraged me to do, is to take a lot of my liquid resources and throw them, right at the full disclosure now movement post haste. And prioritize the movement and not an RV park, as nice as that would be. The movement comes first.
Hmm. Can you talk about some of your other projects and things coming up for you and things you're planning?
Yeah. Um, with the with this work I'm doing in the disclosure movement, and as my own public visibility or profile becomes more and more elevated, I like to be able to offer my own personal direct consulting services to those in the community. Um, not just directly in the secret space program, Montauk MK Ultra community, if you will, people who are trying to resolve their own personal contradictions and get past and through barriers and move forward. But also, I like to do a lot of dispute resolution and organizing and put my shingle out to be available for consults to do that. Just like I made it a point to do consultations with like yourself and all the gifted and skilled psychics and healers in the community to 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 benefit from what you all have to offer.
Thank you for doing that. I know a lot of people can be helped with that, especially with there's unity and there can be, effort and skills shared and ways for people to utilize workforce and building up abundance, and then more community can be shared and had, and trust can be built, and ways for like-minded people to support each other. Um, yeah, new ideas for the future.
Well, I
Uh,
call that new earth, where instead of the old way where it's a zero sum game and it's dog eat dog and I'm fighting you for every last nickel, even if we are supposedly working together. No, now it's like we're supporting each other to the max without any fear of like, oh, is Sean going to take advantage of me because like I'm telling all my friends about him. Like I don't have that this old school or lame 3D worries. Um, promoting everyone I can, like with the healers and psychics and readers gallery here. Um, it's all about getting healed physically, emotionally, and spiritually to the point that we can work with each other and support each other in these business matters. Because off of this conference, I'm making business connections where we're able to do larger ventures, where I'm having people who are offering up venues that they have, like really nice venues where then I know other people where they want to do healing centers, but they don't have the clientele and they don't have the venue. Well, gee, I've got a venue. Okay, I can help you organize a clientele. You've got the skills. We can do smaller events or healing centers all over the place, in addition to making this an annual conference.
Yeah, I could imagine like an idea like making online and physical infrastructure that makes a community, a chat room, a little school, links of videos, websites linking to each other, uh, people sharing skills and abilities like Skillshare, other like platforms that Etsy, things you can do like e-commerce, online businesses, online products of things that they learn, bring it to parts formats for them to make money and part formats for them to give it out for free, knowing it will help other people make money. And then they bring that money back to the community, and it like build an economy internally that supports each other while having the know how to deal with drama, how to make it so that it doesn't make the structure collapse, make it so that it unifies, builds towards physical infrastructure and more online infrastructure and more skill building and ways to create abundance, and then supply the different skills of the esoterica and problem solving, like such as trauma and alter remedy and PTSD and the health sharing, and help everyone being able to, like bees, function strongly and solve the problems together.
Yeah, I mean, let's with this conference right here, I've got Jennifer Nunez, my web admin, who also is very big into human design and other healing and spiritual work and modalities. Linking me up with other members of our team, and it's like we each have our own kind of like more nuts and bolts 3D matrix world skills, and then we also each have our own psychic or spiritual abilities and gifts, and we're combining all of those things together to advance all of us collectively, as much as possible. And that again is part of this soulpreneurship or new earth way
Yeah.
of doing things.
And I think you have a strong capability of doing this, especially if you find a lot of people that are willing to help you make this online infrastructure and you accumulate all the data that you've accumulated, you build all these skills, you find people with more skills that are willing to work on this and dream with you, and you list all the skills, you list all the skills people want that they're willing to pay for, and list what are the skills that can help them make money, and the people that are in lack trade their things that they can do in those moments for the skills to make money, and then they make money, they bring it back, and it like is this building up thing, like stock market people going into crypto trading. I can imagine a lot of things being shared, little forums that like help each other all out, and it being like this tight knit awesome community that gets stronger and stronger. And then there being a drama center that like helps people go through the gauntlet of if they're prone to drama, to deal how to deal with that, make get through their triggers, the altars, the things that they've been through, so that because we're all one and we're all trying to help each other, we're all trying to get out of the muck. We're trying, if we clarify our intentions and that we would not want to harm each other, and then stay that strong past anything that drama demons try to do, then I think, and you build up a big structure of how to deal with those type of problems when they come forward, and make it so that you're not liable for stuff, and how to dance around all their stuff. I think you can make this a strong movement that brings back to you tons, and then you've solidified a big change for the future. But you don't have to do that. You can do whatever you want.
Well, this is a really, it's not only is it my life's work, it is a lot of fun. Getting to reach out to all the different people with all our amazing, diverse experiences and getting to learn and benefit from each and every one. That's my life's dream. I mean, it's like twist my arm, you know. The being able to, it's really a lot of common sense. Okay, hey, you're an eccentric millionaire with 40 acres of land doing a glamping resort and you need personnel and staff. And hey, you're a younger, able-bodied person with nowhere to go, and you've always wanted to do exactly something like run a glamping resort, and pairing the two people up. It's not a matter of lack of common sense and do the pieces fit. It's more of matter of daring. I'm tired of people telling me, Brian, you can't do that. You can't put that in a deal. You can't link those people up for that purpose. Well, why not? You can ask for anything in a deal or a contract. There was an organizer where whenever he got a labor deal passed for a local labor group, he always included in the contract, and you gotta paint the bathrooms in the building green. And why? Because he got a labor job for the local painters union to at least paint the bathrooms green. Like that was just like a gimme that he threw in the contract. And some people would say, you can't put that no, the hell you can't. It's a $20 million contract. I can put that stipulation in it, and they're gonna be true to that stipulation. So it's a matter of thinking beyond the box and the old ways and looking at how we can maximize the benefit for everybody involved. And that's a winning formula. And when you do that, you set the expectations that everyone's going to act on a principled basis. And if they're not, then when we go to drama corner, it's not going to be about who's got the bigger ego. It's going to be, well, what are the principles involved? And then how is each party acting or not acting in accordance with those principles, and I had that drilled into me for 8 years. That's the secret sauce that I bring to the community is, how do you do group organized, principled action based on common goals?
Well said. And I believe you've accumulated those skills over many lifetimes and are here for a very strong needed reason. So thank you for doing that. Not many people are good at it, unfortunately. Um, and yeah, so we can go into questions before we, wrap out with and then you plug everything you need. Let's see, I'll go through all the questions. Okay, here's from Darlene Hindsight. Are we allowed to use our skills to make money?
Ah, okay, so I would say that before all this ascension that we seems to be accelerating in what we're going through now, it would have been less so that you could use your skills to make money. I think it would have been a lot tougher. I think the world was vibrating lower, and I think that in the 3D world that we're coming out of, the ways to make money were much more limited and had a lot more karmic burden and debt to them. So I would have said no.
Mm,
Whereas these days, I think now that instead of like, you are more limited to using your psychic gift maybe to going into a casino, right? To use your telepathy to try to like outplay someone in poker, right? Could you make money that way using a psychic gift? Yes. Is that a karmically a good thing? Probably not, right? Whereas these days now we could do Zoom meetings with the internet and consult with people and use our psychic gifts to consult with each other, bring down higher information and knowledge and help each other heal and share, love from source. If you make money that way, then I think absolutely yes, and that's a great thing, and you should make lots of money. And I think that um, so the answer to your question is yes, but also to answer your question, it's much easier now as the times are changing than it used to be.
yeah, really well said. And how would you recommend people use their skills to make money? And then I'll go into my answer to them.
I'd say the more that you can align the gifts that you've been given and that you've cultivated and your loves and your skills with how that can positively help the world, put us on a positive timeline or a more positive timeline, the more that you can do that and integrate that and then monetize that in a principled manner, where you're not gouging anyone and you're providing real value for what you're charging people. That for me is the formula, you
I
know.
like that.
Yeah.
I could, and like, you suggest anything? Do you offer financial advice because you're very good at making money for people if they want to come to you for consultations?
Well, I'm very good at spending money, Sean. We'll see how good I am at making money. Yeah. So, I mean, and I'd always would um have the preface that, hey, I'm not a financial advisor, right? And then, this is for entertainment purposes only, but also you got to be careful whenever it's your finances because that is such a personal decision. I mean, I've gotten so much advice one way or another, but at the end of the day, when I make a big decision, big or small, and I jump, the win or lose, that's all on me. That's the level of personal responsibility that I'm gonna, that's a financial message that I'm just gonna overemphasize. But my advice financially for people is to not just leverage all of your skills and abilities and your networks and everything that you've done up to now and look at how that can advance the world, but look at other people who are doing it in a similar manner or in a way that's similar. Like I'll give you an example. Our friend Alyssa Zender, who's a survivor and a witness and a testifier to some of the military abductions and being a targeted individual. She herself, one of her strengths is doing not chiropractic, massage therapy and aqua therapy. Okay. And and she is finding that in doing this, people who normally, when she's got them like trying to do massage therapy and they've got like body locks and held in traumas. Okay. And I hope I'm not giving away Alyssa's secret sauce, but I want to give Alyssa a shout out because there's a strength that I think she's bringing to the world, and she's going to reveal this, and if she hasn't already, and I think she has talked about this to some extent publicly, but um, in the water, so for some reason, in that zero gravity or buoyant state, people are then able to unlock a lot of these emotional, spiritual, and body physical traumas that they're not normally able to do, right? And Alyssa has been saying, "Hey Brian, do you know anyone, who does like owns like a spa or whatever?" And a couple months ago, I would have said no, but now through the networks of organizing this conference in our community, I'm pretty sure I could find her a place where she could set up as a resident and do great and thrive, and then build even more connections off of that, start teaching people, really make a difference in a lot of people's lives and go from there and make money doing it. And now that's all like win, 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 win. Nobody loses. And that in that situation, I see that as that's my financial advice is make money in a way that it's win, win, win for as many positive parties as possible.
Nice. Eventually, I think you could like network a linked network of different modalities and healing capabilities that would run a bunch of people that need it through in various locations like the US or other places, and maybe even hold tours and
Yeah, the traveling healing circus.
yeah, yeah.
The flying healers
Yeah,
circus.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for those out there that want to understand money and how it works and how to be spiritual and positive and uh, elevate and into the light and ascend while building your wealth to be comfortable, you can do both. Yeah, I'd agree with you. It was definitely way harder in the past, especially as this Babylonian money magic system and curse and things are just so overpowered. You can barely do anything with it. And it drains and it passes on debt. And there's all these
Yes.
money spells and curses and limitation on us. And the things that happen to people that accumulate a lot of it, and it just bogs them down. I believe that's totally true and valid. And a lot of people, that's why people have averted from it and pushed it away for such a long time. At this coming out, where of a new dawn or whatever you want to say it. We're coming onto a new point in history where we can outcreate these things and learn everything that is entangled psionically with them and then outcreate them in our life. So you outcreate the negative and you use it as a tool to free yourself from systems of domination and poverty and limitation and the matrix. What helps with this understanding is knowing that mani, the top eye at the top of the pyramid kind of thing, is and the system of exchange, your own single eye in your heart of exchange for value and communication and currency should how it should be in your mind, yes, and building towards that while dealing with your abundance is the thing to thrive for, and detaching and getting overcoming what's coming at you. Money, if you want to master it, a good definition of what we have is 95% of the money in on this world is can be described in the words of a debt slavery, multi-galactic, parasitic, energy harvesting, cursed system of energy that deals with numbers, paper, and coinage, and beyond. And that's the most descriptive word I can put onto that, which gives people a lot of things to learn how to master. But once you do, you can bring it's essentially in its origin, it's supposed to be an accumulation of power and energy for work exchange as well as value. You accumulate in density like in Qigong, where you build the pearl. For most abilities, you have to gain a lot of energy and condense it, and then you have more control over a certain aspect of the reality or your body, and then you can do cool things. Same thing with money. Instead of letting it all drain, because there's so many parasitic things that just steal from it, so you can't just bank it yourself. Um, and with that, more abundance comes, and I can help people with that. I recently released a thing on money curses, so that like is free, that releases people's curses. I'll be doing a lot more. There's a lot of things for people to release off themselves. And I'll be doing it one at a time because I got to do it in a safe way because I do get blowback for it from big predators that want to maintain that. So I got to do it in an order. And I get mastery of turning like this one. I'm able to turn curses destroy them and into the fuel that for the heaven realm system of blessing that then brings the blessing to the person. And then it's like immunity because like there's a bunch of negative predators entangled with that, and then that like a trap brings to the heaven realm, and the heaven realm captures all those beings, and it's really nice, and it makes the world better. So there's those cool things that the people do as they clean up. And when I said multi-galactic, this is a parasitic network that started before this planet, and it's enslaving a lot of races. Yeah, it's debt, and you pass around, and it steals energy from you, and it's all this crap. But if you upgrade that, then you can like thrive beyond your wildest dreams and do what you love while doing it, and you get beyond you part of your life should be involved in figuring out what you love to do and your passions, your joys, your excitements, because that is who you are. And then finding out a way to make value that other people value, and then bringing that as an abundance to your life. But also, there are certain aspects that caps unless you get very creative and you can build your abilities off that, and then you can still love what you do. Also, there are things in life that are oriented in making money well. A lot of those things don't feel great, have tons of emotional baggage, like predators that want to stop you, give you headaches, overwhelmed with emotion. No, stop, don't get abundant. Those are the challenges. That's the grind. And one of the abilities I teach people is how to feel amazing, blissful, and happy, and passionate, and loving of even those things. You can build up your love to such intensity. You love everything. And if you love everything, you can make money like nothing. It's so easy. And then you can have that abundance flow to everyone else around you, which is wonderful because it's supposed to be a network of everyone growing and making each other better instead of parasitic and stealing off each other. Um, Anything else you want to say about that? And then I'll ask more questions.
Um, no, I just like that. Yeah, it's not about accumulating the money, it's about the flow of money so that it's going to do the maximum amount of good, and making sure then that that is much more in alignment, I would think, that with what source would want as well in our higher selves, than just like, oh, Brian accumulating a pile of money versus no, Brian gaining enough money to drive the movement and live a happy, healthy lifestyle. One is much more clearly an optimal timeline.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's how you spend it, how you use it, how you use the current sea flow, and in alignment with the universe. And there are intentions and being piety and donations and things that bring back to you, depending on your creativity, intelligence, that can benefit the world even greater and greater and greater. And that gives much rewards back. Okay, let's see what we got here in questions. Looking for question marks, people. Feel free to ask your questions before we wrap it up. I think somebody asked, have you been a part of the 20 and back? You don't have to answer that if you don't want
No,
to.
no, no, I'm happy. I'm happy to try to answer it. So like I mentioned earlier, like it's like I don't remember shit. And then I don't think I have most of the tells. And then, my health is great. And then my family background with my dad, um, in Tseng Labs Inc. and revolutionizing the computer graphics field in the 80s and 90s, that helped set me up financially independently so that I can do things like, fund organizing a conference and, oh no, eat a loss because it's our first one. Um, in terms of the 20 and backs, I'm told by multiple people, psychics, people who scan me, that I've been part of the programs. Susan Long and I think Veronica Bartolini, both of them recall me being with them in something known as the Hulk program. And the Hulk program is one of these secret space program or super soldier programs where they're taking people and they're turning them into cyborgs. So like imagine, taking your consciousness, putting you in a clone body, and the clone body they're turning into RoboCop, right? And that's not a pleasant experience. And Susan Long's specific memory was like she's in like a kind of like a cyborg body on like an old school like assembly line where she's almost like on a rack or something, and she's got all these tubes and cables poking in and out of her, and like the technicians are coming in and she says it's painful, like they're like screwing a hose onto her stomach and then like pumping her full of fluid, and it's not pleasant. And she says her memory of me is like I'm in like a white lab coat as like a technician in the like upstairs lab away from the assembly line floor, and I'm kind of like a science technician type, and I've heard that from at least one other person. So and then also it might be that the Montauk project, some of the time soldiers, when they, after Junior chased the bad guys off the base for a short period of time, some of the time soldiers like Joseph Powell, they might have run a mission to download information to my father, to help me put me where I am today. So that would be a time travel or Montauk aspect that's peripheral to me.
Interesting. Yeah, with that question, I don't like to talk about things people don't want me to, so that depends on if you want to say anything. Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm a pretty open book.
Okay, well, with still respecting that, um, I'd say you're more interactive with the future timeline militaries, especially a positive one in the future that is oriented with time travel to make the timeline better. And with various coming back and forth with what the timeline needs, both physical inspiration and a lot of spiritual stuff because your higher self doing a lot, including especially in the dream and the astral. Like, ooh, when you went to events, I'm like, whoa, you took care of a lot of things.
Wait, so you're able to see that, Sean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, can you
And
give me
then,
any more detail on that? Or
oh,
I
you
love,
took out big predators. It's like, okay, so some of so you did a like connected network thing at some of the conferences you went to where you all united in authority and captured big predators that were plaguing the timeline. And they are weird. They are like cheaters and they're not supposed to be here and evil. Uh, and there's time travel involved in why they're there, so they're not natural. So you clear that out very quickly, and there's a lot of technology in your higher self and source used to do that in spirit. Um, okay, and that's just some of the stuff that's non-top secret. There's a lot of changes you're doing, micro to macro, as above, so below. So there's a and then we talked a little bit about your you got a lot more ETs visitations and missions that you do, but the question was to military abduction. So in the present, most of the military visitate abduction is West Coast negative, monitoring, stealing things from you, trying to suppress you, and a little battle back and forth, and also um, ability oriented. So you'll be discovering things like them using you for things that you gain in powers and then stealing them at the end. A lot of those you don't need to have exist, but you need to put enough energy to stop them. And they like to replace themselves because otherwise you have the ability, and so you need a lot of camouflage for that ability that demonstrates itself. And like right now, I'm getting a handler try to stop me from talking about it. Let's see what they didn't want me to say, so I can expose that. Tracking it back. Okay, see, and if you don't mind me asking, what's the state you're in?
I'm in northern Nevada.
Hmm. Of course, okay. Well, then, okay. Okay, one second. Let me just look at that. One, two, okay, so doesn't want me to talk about its location, and it doesn't want me to talk about its power dynamic it's holding over you and the authority stealing from you, because that exposes it. And right now it's like sending a lot of negative energy at me to try to stop me. So you idiot. You just you're making it worse. You're making me do this. I wouldn't, if you didn't attack me, I wouldn't be exposing you. So, I like doing that. Okay, northern here. You know that big national forest in the center? Seems to go there. Humboldt.
Humboldt,
Whatever the fuck you pronounce that?
Humboldt.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there's a bunch of bases under there. What do they got? Ooh, what are you being used for? Okay, I'm tracking back the handler specifically because you don't fuck with me. Okay, so what do you got? And then you can outcreate them. I believe there's the handler itself is stealing your abilities because negative handlers shouldn't exist. They didn't earn their ability if they're doing evil like this to good people like you. So they lost their authority to generate their own stuff. So they gotta be parasitic and steal other
They
people's stuff.
stole it.
But you can unite with you have your higher self, unite with all the collective of the beings that have gotten their ability stolen from this being, and they can all unite against
Right.
this and collapse the parasite down around this handler. And there's probably other handlers, so you'll keep going through that. Let's see what oh yeah, I stole a bunch. And then what is this project focus on? One. Well, that's nice. Force. So like Jedi Force, telekinesis, control, the ability to make shit happen. They're big on like how do we get from the scenario A to B and make things happen, and then just like nuts and bolts psionics of getting shit done, and there being varying categories of that. Oh yeah, that sneeze is the timeline change for those out there. Um, especially when I double sneeze, they're like big. So telekinesis. So they stole some of your telekinesis abilities, and there's like a project underground that trains kids and then uses them and then makes an altar and then compresses that altar and only gets it to use them, and then other dickheads in the projects drain their abilities off them and try to get their own.
Okay, so there's a telekinesis ability, and I've been told I have a stronger ability because I think everyone has this ability to help merge timelines or heal and change
Yeah.
timelines.
Oh yeah, this is just one because this is the handler that was an idiot. So I'm not going into everything, and a lot of this stuff
Right.
shouldn't be made public, but I was willing to do that one. And if people want readings on what is targeting them, I can go into that. And then as Brian and me trades, I'll be sharing a lot of this information with him about his conference. So it'll be cool seeing him more empowered. Um, and yeah, if you want readings on your abduction and getting rid of abduction proofing, getting rid of the targeting, resolving your handlers, out creating them, getting your abilities back that are stolen, yeah, I can help you with all that. I love doing that. It's one of my favorite things in Psionics. is out creating predators. Is one of my unfortunate things that has happened to me in my life where they just keep coming, and eventually I just turn into a joy and love and passion to where I get excited, and then I go I go hard on them. So
You judo them with love.
yeah, I combined love with it. Originally, it was like Warpath, and then I combine it with love, and if I can get them to goodness, wonderful. But if they're harming anyone I love, I am not letting them. So yeah, and with this conference, this will go well. There's a lot of powerful sonic people and powerful souls and angelics there that will protect it and unify. And so everyone's gonna, no matter what targeting is coming, and if you're a target individual, come to this conference. You're gonna get a big healing and clearing and getting rid of a bunch of shit off you just by being there. Because anything entering that trap is getting out created.
Full disclosure movement.org. And and that's probably why we chose this place too, is it's so beautiful. I'm thinking St. Pete Beach, just the healing sand and sun and water and air, um, together with being around such an amazing group of people. How could that not be healing?
Exactly. And then people are going to get their soul shards back. Like, oh, I was holding this on for you for a while, and until I met you this life. And then like, oh, I saw you that lifetime ago, and there be connections and loved ones, and people falling in love, and it'll be great. Meet your soul family again. I'll see you guys there. Don't miss out. Once in a lifetime opportunity. And big things to get there, both physical and spiritual. And any other ways you want to plug how to sign up, like full, and again, that's www.fulldisclosuremovement.org if you want to get your tickets. And it'll be in Florida, and it's again beautiful. That state is having some major shifts go on that affect the rest of the country. It's beautiful, and a lot of ET activity. And we'll be shining lasers. We summon ETs, positive ones, and yeah, a lot of cool events outside of the event that can happen that you can sync up with and have fun as well. There's some
But
management tours.
when another thing, Sean, is people they can reach out to you and also at psionicleague.com, because I know you have some discount codes for people so they could save a little bit of money on their passes, and then also some money will then come to you off of that. And
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that's a great way to get people to check out psionicleague.com, because you got a great website too, and you offer a lot of awesome sessions.
Thank you for pulling that. Yeah, and I'll do. I was gonna do that right after you. And how do people reach you? Uh,
Ah, yeah, the main place
is
I'm
other things you have planning for the future.
the main place, is really because it's just in 2 weeks, is go to fulldisclosuremovement.org for our conference website. Even if you can't make it in person, $55 live stream tickets, that's early bird. I'm probably going to raise them to $77 as we get closer to the event. But even then, for 4 days and nights of presentations and features, I feel pretty proud of that number.
That's a
Yeah,
really good option. That's smart. I don't see that many conferences doing that. So yeah, guys out there, if you can't make it, get the live stream tickets.
right. That's right. And then the other thing is find me on Facebook, plug in my name, Brian Tseng, and add SolarBee, because I'm pretty heavily banned and shadow banned on Facebook. A lot of strikes against me for sharing information that turns out to be true, but whatever. Later on. And we all know it's true now. But find me on there, send me a message and a friend request, and let me know why, that you found me on here. And preferably, if there's a way that you'd like to get involved with advancing the movement. Maybe you have a testimony to share. Maybe you own land, or you're an eccentric millionaire and you want to help fund things. Or you're a web admin and you're really good at doing websites. If I personally can't use your assistance, I know someone else in our community, and as a community, an extension of the movement, who could use your help.
We can all build a greater parallel structure together that makes it so that we don't need the parasites, and we're out creating them, getting stronger and stronger. Yeah, and contact Brian for that, because he's a pivotal point in that movement. And feel free to share ideas and other stuff. And yeah, and again, I'm Sean Bond of Sonic League YouTube, and sonicleague at gmail.com if you want to contact me for sessions, consultations, healings. You can ask whatever you want. We can overcome problems and all the things. If you want to go into reading SSP stuff, great. I love doing that. And yeah, past lives, unlock dormant DNA, and there's a lot of prog videos for abilities on the membership site. We'll be doing meditations and workshops in the future, and tours around to different sacred sites and places of power around the country, like Mexico, which we'll be doing next. Going to the pyramids and
Yeah.
bringing up and breaking it to life again, and then getting rewarded by the spirits for helping them, and then with different superpowers that they're good at, which is lovely and fun. Yeah, and thank you guys for joining this live stream. Spread and share this around as to many people as possible. To people that you think would love this conference, to come to this conference, or even see the live stream. The more people out there, the more this shift can happen, the faster everything happens. There's going to be a big unity healing going on with this event. So yeah, and let us know, and we can offer you discounts and stuff, especially for advertising this to more and more people that will come. And yeah, the more of this that happens, the more motivation Brian has to have more of these conferences and build and build and build and it shine this beauty into this world from the heavenly abode that he envisions. So yeah, anything else you want to end on, and like some things from the heart you'd like people to know?
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone who's joined us tonight, and thanks for motivating me, Sean, because it's been such a huge just drive right now. It's kind of slightly exhausting. So, I appreciate being on air with you here to reach out to everybody and get as many people there as we can. And then I'm just so excited and looking forward to this event. It's kind of like, however many people we get this year, I just know that this is the first of many. And I'm just so excited at the community that is already that we already have, but I think the community has been looking for events and motion that we're offering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So come there and meet us. Well, I'll be also speaking. I'll be divulging a bunch of cool stuff that makes it so that you can contact your positive soul family ETs way easier, or negative ET visitation, psionics into memory and regaining memory, different psionic abilities, how to outcreate things if you're targeted, and coping mechanisms for all that, and probably a bunch of stories. And then there's
And
all
bring
the
your outfit.
things.
Sean, you gotta bring all your wizard gear. Because while guys and everyone listening, while this is guys and gals, while this is a serious disclosure event, our big final night, we're gonna have a big costume dinner and contest and dance celebration. And it's gonna be open to everybody after we do the dining part, and but costumes throughout this event are highly encouraged.
Beautiful. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Bring your best costume.
Oh yeah,
We'll
we're
have
gonna be my
fun.
wife and I. We're gonna be bringing all sorts of stuff. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I'll bring my wizard costume. Yeah, that brings up another part of which secret part of the presentation. Um, thing that barely I don't know anyone talking about. And it keeps coming up in my life, so it's like very interesting. But I'll give you the hint of it. Extra-dimensional wizards and wizards. I mean wizards and witches. Wizards and witches. That also temporal dilate and visit people. So that will be a big thing that really nobody's talking about. So yeah, come there if you want to have your life changed. See you guys there. Hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you guys for joining us. Have a wonderful one. We'll talk to you guys later.